ladies and gentlemen, to Attack of the Remakes here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, we're checking out a horror film from 2004. That movie is Dawn of the Dead. Now, I think I may have mentioned this in a previous episode, but I'm going to mention it here just for the sake of it. Out of all three of George A. Romero's classic zombie films, those are Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. My favorite is Dawn of the Dead. I've seen that movie, I'd say at least 20 times, if not more. The movie is fantastic, and I absolutely love it. I love it so much, in fact, that I really don't know if this remake is going to live up to it, because, you know, I'm that biased towards the original Dawn of the Dead. And my doubts on this thing being as good are kind of sort of compounded by all the things I've been told over these many years by a lot of people. I've heard such mixed things about this movie that I don't know what to really expect. I've heard everything from the movie is that the movie is a masterpiece and that it far surpasses the original 1970s Dawn of the Dead. One person, I think, has said that. Other people have told me that it is a good movie and that it stands really well on its own, but it falls to pieces when compared to the original Dawn of the Dead. And then there's other people who say that the movie is absolute garbage and that it's another bit of evidence to show that Zack Snyder should not be allowed to direct movies. I kind of throw out a lot of those last ones because I've seen a few of Snyder's films and I've enjoyed every one of them I've seen. So, mind you though, all of those are comic book movies, and there's a vast difference between, like, your traditional comic book movie and a zombie film like Dawn of the Dead. So I don't know if Snyder's really capable of doing a zombie film. I guess I now get to find out. I have no earthly clue if this damn thing's going to be any good at all. The only way I'm going to find that out, guys, is if I shut up and I push play. And I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Dawn of the Dead. Well, guys, I can say two things so far. One, I am not a fan of the screaming, running zombies this movie's using. I guess that's because I've always been a bit more partial to shambling zombies, or at least, you know, something where turning into a zombie seems to have slowed you a little bit. This movie, no, every single zombie is a screaming fucking psycho who's able to run at full fucking speed. That's kind of dull. Now, while I can complain about that, at least we get a little bit of Johnny Cash as the opening credits play, so at least that's something. Granted, it's not much, but goddammit, at least it's something. Alright, I'm gonna make a point here, guys. This is a real big, like, nitpick, trivial thing, but since this movie's giving me fuck all to really focus on besides this, I'm going to mention it. The movie is set in my home state, Wisconsin. Alright, the call letters of all television stations in Wisconsin begin with a W because we're on the east side of the Mississippi River. Why then is every TV in this fucking mall showing news stations with call letters which start with K, which would all be west of the Mississippi River? Before anyone says, well, perhaps maybe they're tuned into like a station in, I don't know, like Minnesota. No, because the movie is set around Milwaukee, which is about as far away from the Minnesota border as you can get. I understand, guys, that talking about call letters of fictional television stations in a fucking movie is trivial and stupid. But again, there's nothing else in this movie to even focus on, because it's boring as shit. So, I just sort of thought I would mention that. It's kind of sort of bugging me a little bit. It's nothing big. I mean, it's nothing that's going to, like, set the fucking world on fire. I mean, but it's still something that's worth mentioning. You know what I mean? I'm really not liking this movie, guys. I think part of the reason is the dialogue. Because apparently, when James Gunn was, tasked with writing this thing, he decided to make every character as empty, hollow, and unlikable as possible. And as kind of a result, all the dialogue is lifeless and wooden and generally shit, and it's making a boring movie even harder to fucking watch. So not only do we have zombies that suck, but even our humans are essentially lifeless. It really does suck, man. Guys, there's something else which this movie's missing, because as I've already stated, we don't have any likable characters. We don't have any realistic or interesting sounding dialogue. You know what else is missing in this horror movie? Tension. There's none. Right now, we've got 4 fucking jagoffs who are walking through a parking fucking garage. We should be scared shitless about the possibility of there being a zombie around any fucking corner. I'm not feeling a lick of that tension because I've not been given a reason to care. If this movie had even the slightest bit of fucking tension, it would probably be really good. In fact, look at that. They just did a whole lot of build-up, and you pretty much knew that there was going to be nothing coming. It was a fucking dog. It was a dog. You could tell it was going to be a dog moments before, or something, like a dog or a cat, long before it actually happened. That is how bad this movie is at building tension. You can totally smell a fake out long before they actually hit you with the fake out. That's fucking terrible. Okay, I've got kind of a dumb question, and I'm wondering if they're ever going to try to explain this. So, the dog was able to cut through the, swaths of zombies that are all in the parking lot. Why aren't the zombies attracted to the dog? I mean, these things are like feral, wild assholes who set fires to cars and, attack people freely. What the fuck makes the dog safe? They're probably not going to explain that either. They're probably not going to explain in any way why is it that these zombies who are basically just a bunch of rage-filled marathon fucking runners will attack, cars and people but won't touch a fucking dog. Just seems a little weird to me. Well, guys, that was Dawn of the Dead. They're showing, clips of the crew and shit as they're on the boat. Frankly, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. No, we're done. Alright, so, I guess the first thing I've got to do, as has been the way all month, is how does this compare to the original film? How does this version of Dawn of the Dead compare to George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead? Well, the original Dawn of the Dead, I can say, is superior in damn near every single aspect. The only spot where this movie is better is in zombie makeup effects, and that honestly is just simply because there've been a whole lot of sweeping advances in special effects makeup between the 70s and the 2000s. Okay, that is the only reason why this one is that's the only reason why this one is superior, is because of time. Okay. However, if we were to compare the makeup effects of the original Dawn of the Dead, and we kept that to the standards of the 1970s, compared to this one, keeping this one to the standards of the fucking 2000s, at that point then, Romero's film is still superior because it blew all other zombie films out of the fucking water with its makeup effects and its gore effects. This movie has almost no gore to really speak of, and the zombie makeup, while decent, really wasn't anything that was vastly different from all the other zombie films that came out around that time. So, if we were to keep both films in their own little isolated decade fucking bubble, then Dawn of the Dead, I'm talking about the original Dawn of the Dead, is superior in every respect. So, now let's talk about this one. I'm going to start with the writing. A lot of people love to get on my ass whenever I talk about zombie films, and I try to harp that writing is necessary. This movie absolutely shows you why writing in your zombie films is an absolutely necessary thing, because without that writing, without that solid writing there, we have almost 2 hours of fuck all. 2 hours of boring, pointless bullshit. 2 hours of a bunch of people just sitting around in a fucking shopping mall doing jack shit while the zombie apocalypse is happening outside. Okay? There is very little here in terms of actual tension, and when they try to build the fucking tension, you know for a fact it's going to either end in a fake out or a jump scare, and in the instance with the fucking dog, it was a fake out immediately followed by a jump scare, and it was a shitty jump scare at that. In fact, this movie, while claiming to be a horror film, really does not give you anything horrifying. But then again, I think that honestly is because zombies are such a dull and boring thing that it's very hard to take zombies seriously anymore. I really think that is why that's why there's been such a big rise in zombie comedies, because it's almost impossible to take this stupid bullshit seriously, which is, I think, one of the biggest problems which this movie has, is it's trying to basically force you to take zombies seriously, and that just cannot be done, especially after watching stuff such as Cockneys vs. Zombies and Zombieland and Shaun and fucking Shaun of the Dead and Redneck Zombies and Dead Alive and Fido and Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2. All of these have shown you that you can totally laugh at zombies, but I really think that we are far past the point of taking these fucking things seriously, okay? We are so far beyond that point that now watching these where they're trying so desperately hard to make you take zombies seriously, it just comes off as kind of quaint and kind of shit. So because we have that, you're now forced to try to deal with the characters. Our characters are lifeless and shallow and hollow. You can basically sum up most of them with a single word, and that single word is douchebag. And the ones who you can't sum up as, and the ones who you can't just simply sum up as douchebag, don't have any personality to fucking speak of. There was one fucking character, and his entire like personality is summed up in the fact that he used to sell TVs at Best Buy. That's totally it. Another one, his entire thing is he's a cop and he used to be a soldier and he's trying to find his brother, but his brother's dead because his brother's in the city and everyone's dead. There is no personality. I couldn't tell you the names of any of the characters in this fucking movie because I felt no need to care about any of the characters. And if I don't care about a character, I'm not going to bother remembering their fucking name. And considering the fact that this movie really doesn't take any real attempt at building any of these characters. Okay, so let me just sort of walk you through how all of this goes. So we started off with just a fucking nurse, who then runs into the cop, who is part of like a group with like 3, maybe 4 other people. Then they all go into the mall, and then we're introduced to 3 more characters, and then a fucking truck pulls in, and there's 8 more characters there. You know, this, seriously guys, is not like a slow build-up. It's just heaping more and more characters on without giving you a reason to care about any of them. And because of that, everything just comes off as kind of hollow and kind of stupid. Now, I would like to say that this movie that the people working on this movie probably thought they were really doing some really, really revolutionary shit with some of the things that they fucking did here. So, there was one person, amongst our fucking initial group of like 5, who is pregnant, and at one point she fucking dies. Her boyfriend straps her onto a table because he still wants her to give, birth, because apparently, honestly, because seriously, just fucking everybody's safety. Just, I want this kid and I want it now. So she then turns into a zombie and she gives fucking birth, and then afterwards we see that she gave birth to a zombie baby. And the very idea of a zombie baby, when James fucking Gunn wrote this, that probably sounded absolutely amazing. And it probably would have been if Peter Jackson didn't do the same fucking thing about 15 years before that when he made Dead Alive. And he actually did it better there. And once more, Dead Alive's also a zombie comedy, which benefits from, just sort of looking at zombies and going, this is so fucking stupid, and just sort of like goofing on it. So they tried something kind of edgy there, and it really didn't fucking work. Guys, nothing in this film worked in terms of writing. I couldn't find a reason to care about any of these characters. When they were stuck in the mall, I did not care. When one of them went over to the ammo shop in order to save a fucking dog, I didn't care. When all of them piled into those two fucking shuttle buses, and like a couple of them died in a fucking crash, I didn't care. There's no reason to care about any of these characters because almost none of them have any fucking personality. The story honestly goes nowhere because there is zero fucking attempt at tension or scares. Really, guys, the writing here just fucking kills any hope this movie has of being good. Now, what's really sad about that is, while the fucking writing is 100% disaster, the acting's really solid. Our cast actually fucking tried. Even though almost all of them are just playing bland, worthless douchebag characters, they still tried to inject life into these characters. And you know what? That honestly was a massive Herculean feat. And the very fact that they even tried is nothing short of awesome. It's just kind of a pity that they couldn't really do anything with it, because there's only so much you can do with a script that is this shit. But I am going to praise the actors for actually trying. Because they obviously were. There was definitely a massive attempt here by the entire cast to make this shit work. You can see as they're all feverishly trying to polish this fucking turd and get it to work. But unfortunately, as most people on Earth know, you cannot polish a turd, so ultimately it is a valiant effort that amounts to nothing. But still, our actors did a fantastic job with what was given. Camera work. I know that Zack fucking Snyder's got a huge boner for slow-mo shots, but you could totally make a drinking game out of this worthless movie. Allow me to explain. Every time that there is a slow motion shot of something falling to the fucking ground, and there's no reason for there to be a slow-mo shot of it, take a fucking drink. Take 2 drinks if it's a single bullet shell casing. Because that happens like 6 times, where somebody shoots, and then we have a camera shot of their feet as the shell casing just slowly bounces on the fucking ground. There's no reason for it. We have a 30-second slow motion shot of somebody stomping out a fucking cigarette. So, there's tons of like slow motion bullshit in here. Absolutely none of it was fucking needed. However, though, beyond those shots, everything else here in terms of camera work is fine. Because we get awesome panning shots of the massive mob of zombies who are outside of the mall. My question is, why the hell didn't any of them bust in? The only thing between them and getting into the mall were sets of glass doors. And the opening act of this showed that zombies are totally capable of flipping over cars and breaking fucking windows and setting shit on fire. So, how exactly did a set of glass doors stop them? I'm kind of curious about that. Now, I am going to go back to the writing for a minute, because I do want to comment on the fucking zombies. I myself am not a fan of the shrieking, feral, running fucking zombies. I've always found that to be kind of shit. I personally have always been more of a fan of the classic shambling zombie, because to me there honestly is a little bit more tension when you have like an army of 500 shambling zombies coming at you slowly, and there's nothing that you can do to stop them, compared to and then you compare that to a bunch of shrieking fucking marathon runners who don't give you a chance to figure out that you are in a no-win situation. See, I I have always liked shambling zombies over running zombies, and because this fucking thing insisted on having, running, screaming, howling zombies, just fuck it. That right there kind of sort of ruined a whole lot of the tension here. Because it doesn't really give you a sense of dread as this shit slowly comes at you, because it's coming at you so fast, you honestly don't have time to build any fucking tension. I think that is the big problem when it comes to running zombies and trying to build tension with them. It's fucking borderline impossible. Now, why don't I jump back, because I really didn't want to focus on writing any longer, but I needed to touch on the zombie thing. Special effects. Makeup effects here are fairly fucking decent. Gore, what little fucking gore is actually in this movie, is at least kind of sort of decent. Squib work here is okay. It would have been nice, honestly, if maybe the fire and the explosions all looked a little bit more natural. They all looked a little bit too CG and fake for my liking. Mind you, some of that honestly is because it kind of sort of looks like they shot something actually blowing up, and then they fucking composited it into whatever shot they needed it there, and it was composited poorly. I could honestly be totally wrong, but it looked pretty fucking awful here. So, God, what else is there to talk about? The soundtrack. Well, Johnny Cash had a song during the opening credits. In the scant few minutes this movie actually wanted to be fun and good, we were treated to a song by Richard fucking Cheese, so at least we had that, and the rest of the soundtrack is okay. The score, we would probably have done better without a fucking score, because it's another one of those bland, worthless, generic horror movie scores, and frankly, I'm sick and tired of hearing them. I'm sick and tired of every single pathetic attempt at a jump scare being fucking punctuated with a big bassy boom, as if you need some kind of a fucking audible cue to go ooh as the movie tries to scare you. No, I'm sick of that shit. Fuck it. Alright? So, we have that. Sound mix. I would have loved to have heard more of the fucking dialogue. Unfortunately, the dialogue is ridiculously quiet. I found myself constantly turning the volume up and down on my TV because I was trying to hear what was being said, and then when the fucking score kicks in and they're trying to do another jump fucking scare, I then hear that big dung, and I'm almost deafened by it because they opted to mix the sound, or rather they opted to mix the music to be about twice as loud as the fucking dialogue. That should be fucking reversed at all times. At no time should your score or your background music be drowning out your fucking dialogue. At no time should you have to turn the volume up to hear what is being said. Because it's the dialogue which is going to help further your fucking story. And the very fact that they felt the urge to mix the audio this poorly, I think tells me that even the studio knew that this fucking script is shit. So basically, turn it all down and just make this essentially a movie for people who just fucking want to see zombies and just want to see shit go boom. And fuck anybody who actually wanted dialogue and story, because we've pretty much mixed out most of that. Oh boy. Ultimately, guys, can I recommend the remake of Dawn of the Dead? Personally, no. However, though, if you are into these modern, ultra-serious zombie films, if you honestly thought that garbage like 28 fucking days... If you thought that 28 Days Later was good, then you are going to love this, because it's more of the same tired, stupid pig shit. However, if you're not into that kind of shit, and you actually like zombie films that are fun or, good, then you're probably going to want to avoid this one. I can say with absolute certainty that this is the worst film I've seen directed by Zack fucking Snyder, and this is the worst film I've seen that was written by James fucking Gunn. And I sat through the first live-action Scooby fucking Doo movie. I really didn't think that Gunn's writing could get any worse than that. Oh, how wrong I fucking was. Case in point, he wrote this. The man who wrote Tromeo and Juliet and Slither shat this script out and apparently was happy with it. Well, fuck you, James. I want you to come back when you actually know how to write a goddamn script. Holy fuck. So yeah, I cannot recommend this, guys. This movie was an absolute chore to sit through, and thankfully I never have to watch it again. One thing which kind of sucks is I'm the one who bought this one for this month. Thankfully, I think I only got it for like $2, so at least I'm not out much. But that still doesn't stop the fact that this thing sucks. And that's $2 I'm never going to fucking see again. So, yay, I'm out $2 and I'm up one really shit movie. So, I'm gonna go watch a couple of good zombie films. Maybe I'll go watch the original Dawn of the Dead. Maybe I'll go maybe I'll go and rewatch Return of the Living Dead, or Zombieland, or Shaun of the Dead, or Fido, or any of the other zombie comedies I listed earlier. I'm gonna go watch a couple of those, because those are actually fun, those are actually good, and they're not this. So anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.